Hey everybody, Paul Galant here, Verifone CEO. I am thrilled and honored to have a good friend, Phil McHugh, President of Merchant Solutions for TSYS. Little known fact, I think you and I are both Citibank alums.
We are Citibank alumni, yep.
Unbelievable.
There are a few of us running around the place.
I know. It's like any conference you ever attend, if ever you stand up and say, with a show of hands, how many people have worked at Citi? Half the audience raises their hand.
Every banker, it was the school. It was the school for banking and credit cards, actually. So
banking, credit cards, payments.
Yep.
So what did you do at Citi?
Paul, I started my career. I was in that little region called Latin America, behind the big U.S. behemoth. But I started in Credicard, which is the Citibank JV, and so I cut my teeth in cards and payments in Brazil.
All right. Well, I was there for a little while, 17 years or so. Well, great. So, this is an amazing show. I don't know if you have the same feeling. The quality of this show has just improved every year. There's clearly something going on here. This ecosystem of payments and commerce, it's different than it was 4 years ago. What are you seeing now that you're in your role for about a year now, right?
Sure. Yeah, no, it is. Even the stands, the look and feel, the participants, the ETA board members, it's a physical embodiment of what's happening in the industry. And I think the biggest one for me is we're going from a traditional processing business, we're all becoming software businesses. Every business is. And the things that I have found, particularly moving from Europe to the US, my initial reaction was the US is behind Europe in terms of contactless, Internet of Things, alternate payment rails. But when you dig deeper, I think the biggest change and wave that's forcing all of us to change is the software as a service wave, the verticals. In this market, you're finding players that focus on one specific vertical. They figure out how to make the business better. They're not solving payments, they're helping the merchant grow. And by doing that, they own that relationship. We've got to keep up with the same pace. We've got to have software that supports it. We've got to combine channels to make things simpler. And it's just the amount of effort you have to do to keep up and be a software-led solution provider, to me, is the biggest wave and change that's driving all of this right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Phil. This is, in my opinion, the best thing that could have ever happened to this industry.
Completely agree.
The fact of the matter is that, our relationship with merchants is really predicated on delivering value.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is that if you look at the history of what we've done, we've kind of done one thing.
Yep.
And one thing only. And these merchants have been successful with that one thing. But to be a merchant today,
correct,
you've got to be absolutely omni-channel. You've got to be absolutely fully integrated with all of your channels that you communicate to your customer with. You've got to be able to run your business based on real data.
Yep.
You've got to keep security. When you look at all that, you say, at least I say, somebody has to be the leader here.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be the quarterback. And I think that in the case of Verifone, in the case of TSYS, this partnership that you and I have, we, in many respects, have the most complex, the most security-sensitive connection to it. So if you get that piece right, and we help interconnect that piece into all the software that you need to run a beauty salon with, it's a home run.
No, I agree. And I think about, you can kind of get lost with all the change and innovation, be it by channel, by payment type, by form factor, the data security, all of these issues. And when I take a step back and look at it, some players will lose themselves chasing silver bells and solutions. And I look at it as taking a step back, saying that the payments industry fundamentally is getting more complex. If you're a merchant, it's multi-channel, the data security, the use of data and insights, all the things you said are incredibly important, but they're not what the merchant wants to focus on. And the players that can make the complex simple for them. So at payment, it is safe, it is smart, it is fast, and it is always on. The players that can do that, we will win. We will win, and we will help those merchants grow. And I think that's got to be the North Star of where we take our strategies.
And I think when we go at the grassroots level to a merchant who's trying to be competitive, trying to survive in a very difficult environment, and we look at the life of a merchant, and we look at all the different systems, all the different services that they have to touch to get through the day, most of which have nothing to do with their business.
Correct.
At all. It's stuff that detracts them. Oh, by the way, it's wildly expensive for the scale at which they operate. And you put it all together, you have also a fragmented model of delivery. So there's an acquirer, there's a Verifone type company, there's an ISO, there's an ISV, there's an integrator.
There could be 3 gateways involved.
3 gateways. I mean, you look at all that and you're like, why the hell doesn't it just work?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're a merchant, I want to turn it on, and I want it to work, and I want it to replace the mess. And, you know, it's interesting. Like, I said this to somebody because I try to get things into C-Spot Run.
Yes.
And I said, look, go into any small business in the United States, not the one in San Francisco, the real United States, okay? And it just looks wrong. There's like a PC-looking thing next to some other set of wires that connect to something that looks like a terminal from 1972, and this business has to compete against Amazon?
And it's got tape over the reader as well with a little handwritten sign, right? No, I completely agree, and it has to compete against Amazon. One of the interesting ones for me, and it is a company I think we all admire, which opened up the market in many ways, was Square. And I was dealing with Square, and it brought to life the problem. We were in the UK, a large processor, and we delivered complexity to the merchant, and we were comfortable with that. This new upstart came, and we were doing a negotiation, and I remember they used the very important words that the only thing that we will negotiate on, that we will never give on, is that opening a business must be a beautiful experience. And I remember the simplicity of their view really shone the mirror on me about where we need to go as an industry as well. And that's the benchmark that we all have to follow and make it simple and easy. And like I said, provide scale to the subscale players.
So I said something at an earnings call a couple of quarters ago that I think stopped some people in their tracks, because you can imagine I've been getting questions about Square since the beginning of time.
Of course, yeah.
And, you know, sometimes people talk about Clover, sometimes talk about Square. My response is the best thing that ever happened to Verifone is Square.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second best thing that ever happened to Verifone is Clover. And they wonder what I'm talking about. And I'm saying, well, because, see, somebody figured out that friction is a horrible thing, and they made a simple solution to deal with complexity.
Correct.
And now all the merchants and all the acquirers are turning to me and saying, I don't want to buy your terminal. I want to buy a solution.
Yeah.
And I want it to be great.
Correct, correct.
And that's the incentive that we needed.
Yes. No, I agree. It's and you bring up another piece, which is too often people have this kind of supplier buyer mindset, and in this industry it cannot be that. It's got to be partnerships, and no one's going to own the whole thing. But how do we work together, think about making it a beautiful experience for the merchant, providing the value add, and there's just so much. If we do that right, we'll absolutely win in this space. And I think those players have changed the dynamic and forced us all to up our game and our thinking about how we approach it.
I think that's right. So Phil, you guys are, you know, unequivocally a powerful leader in the SMB space. Well, you are. And you've got a lot of conviction in your strategy and in your views. You went out and you acquired Cayenne. Henry's a great business leader, and he's built a phenomenal practice. We've always supported Henry.
Yeah, and a fantastic business. Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, my little statement to my team is, whatever he does, I'm in it.
Yeah, that's great.
Because I trust the guy.
Yeah.
So, you know, you guys are clearly the leader. You talk to more SMB merchants than the people at Verifone will ever talk to. What are they asking you for today? What do you see as the compelling need?
Yeah, I think it's, when we look at our strategy, our ambition, our humble ambition is to be the #1 SMB payments player in the U.S. And I have a lot of people remind me that there are quite a few people that are bigger than me and a few people behind me that are faster than me. And I think, to your point, that having that edge and that a bit of nervousness about it is a good thing, and that compels and drives us. And when I think about what are the SMBs looking for, it goes back to that payments is becoming more complex. The people that can take the complexity out will win, and that's what they want. They don't want you to lead with, here's the PCI issue, here's this terminal, it comes to, look, I want to be able to set up and trade and make sure that payment works. I don't want to deal with all these things that scare me on data and security and fraud, and give me some stuff that helps me be smarter. But also, I think where we can win, when I have trouble, I want to be serviced as well. Self-serve is good. It has a cap on it. So they need that trust mark that you're going to be there as well to solve through, because some things are complex. Chargebacks, scheme rules change, the regulations change. Having someone that's also there to support them helps. So, but all of that is about taking complexity, making it simple so that they can grow. And that is our #1 mantra, is we are driven to help our partners and our merchants grow. And it sounds cheesy, it is a little cheesy, but it's just a nice reminder of focus on that first, have the professionals to do the hard work behind, but focus on that approach. And that's what the merchants are looking for. And a lot of times they're just looking for the simple, make it work, make it simple. They don't want the overly complex solution. They really want that trust so they can be the merchants they want to be.
I couldn't agree more. I see this every day in our business. They really just want it to work. And they want to be treated as if somebody had really thought through their specific needs. And we've got to learn how to do that at scale.
Their day-to-day, yes, yeah, agree.
Their day-to-day. So, they've written so many questions for me, I can't even, keep track, but...
Throw me some softballs.
Yeah. They're talking about... Obviously, we're in a war against cash. That's the common enemy. And, in your experience, what's the thing that works best to get somebody who has really resisted electronic payments to accept electronic payments?
Yeah, I think it's, I'll give two angles where I think they're very compelling. One is the contactless journey, which is clearly a big theme, and the other one is software as a service, where people are buying and consuming everything electronically, which beforehand they did physically. On the first one, obviously my UK Europe experience, I think as of a few months ago, 50% of transactions under $50 or 30 pounds are now going on contactless. That's up from 2-3%. And what happened there is you need the chicken and the egg. You need issuers and acquirers. You need habits, and you need consistency. Every scheme, every bank, it was the same rules. It was the same trust mark. And people get used to it. And one of my favorite facts, the fastest growing population for contactless spend in the UK was over 60-year-olds. This was not a millennial thing. It was actually easier for older generations to tap and go. So it shows you, once you figure it out, you figure out a very small thing to make life easier, takes off. The other one, obviously, is all the software as a service. We're seeing tons of businesses, field services, unattended kiosks. There's so many solutions now where we can pay electronically, and it just makes life easier, that I actually think we're at the beginning of a new wave of growth. It's actually pretty exciting.
Yeah, I see it not just in the U.S. I see it in so many markets. I'm getting the 1-minute flash. The good news is I don't have to listen to your flash. I could just keep going, but that's okay.
The empowerment.
Yeah, no. Hey, I'm going to ask you this question, right?
Yeah.
So, is the payment terminal going away?
The answer is no. People always oversimplify. Were branches going away 20 years ago? Everyone said branches are going away, and then Bank of America added branches and did very, very well. plastic cards will not go away. What will happen is there'll be more diversity in how we pay and how we accept payments. So in the future, it won't be your Citi, your Chase, your Bank of America credit card to a terminal. It's going to be your plastic card. It'll be your phone. You'll be Apple. I'll be Samsung. You'll be Nokia, whatever you want. It'll be your Internet of Things. Your keychain will pay. Your refrigerator will pay. And then payment acceptance will be tablets. There will be terminals, which provide security and lots of benefits. There will be countertop solutions of all sorts. And then the whole Internet of Things. So it will just be more. What won't go away, to your point earlier, the rigor, the security, the trust. These things are not that easy to code. You have a lot of people that can build a mobile app, and they wade into payments with confidence, and they realize how much is behind to make every payment secure all the time. And that won't go away anytime soon.
Yeah, I think you're right. The merchants that I've met who, again, on a day-to-day basis, they're just struggling to, make their consumers happy. Ultimately what they want is that simplicity solution, but they don't want to go to the Genius Bar when something goes wrong.
Correct.
What they really want is a voice, a trusted voice that really is a partner with them in the core business and accepting money from consumers.
Yeah.
That's real important. And so I think that whether it's a terminal, whether it's how you get from the terminal to the acquirer, they need that person who cares about them.
I couldn't agree more, Paul.
Well, I guess this time is over. I could keep talking forever, right, Rebecca? But I won't. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Congratulations on all the success that TSYS is having, and we hope to be a good partner for you in years to come.
Look, I really appreciate it. I've always loved our partnership on both sides of the pond.
Yeah.
And I look forward to doing more and growing together.
Awesome. Thanks,
Paul.